Shuddering from the warmth that enveloped him, Sergei straightened his shoulders and exhaled softly. The last months of the third-year economist's life were not very good. The session was approaching, but there were no materials. They also delayed the salary at the car wash, but they had to pay for a rented apartment. After going down to the waiting area, the guy put on headphones and, turning on the music, began to inspect the rest of the waiting for nothing. Grandmothers with bags, young girls in bright raincoats, sleepy children holding hands with slightly sullen parents. Black hair caught his eye. Shiny, waist-length black hair. After admiring them a little, the guy plunged into his thoughts, quietly singing along to the chorus in his headphones. He was distracted by the short, loud whistle of the incoming train. Catching himself, the guy ran into the carriage. Taking an empty seat, the guy noticed the owner of those same hair. Suddenly, a strange feeling of anxiety seized him, and fear began to ache treacherously in his stomach. What's going on? The guy thought nervously. He took another look at the passenger standing nearby. Her dark, tinged eyes were directed at the window. A completely lifeless look. It was he who inspired him with wild fear. What happened to her a couple of seconds later almost made him groan in panic. The whites of her eyes slowly changed color to black. She turned in his direction and smiled. Feeling nausea rising in his throat, the guy quickly turned away and closed his eyes. He began to feel feverish. Clenching his teeth, he kept only one thought in his head: to get out of here as soon as possible. This witch scared him. Barely waiting for his station, the guy flew out of the car like a bullet and walked out of the subway at a brisk pace. When he went outside, he felt someone's gaze on his back. She's nearby. The panic was getting stronger by the second. In a hurry, he went home. Half an hour later, he was home. He was shaking violently. Putting down the kettle with trembling hands, he threw the bag off his shoulder onto the floor. Clutching a warm mug in his hands, he sighed and sat down on the sofa. In the silence that followed, there was a soft knock on the door. Everything inside him collapsed. That bitch. Did she find me? He wasn't trying to calm down anymore. Fear was consuming consciousness by the second. On wobbly legs, he went to the door and cringed, looked through the peephole. An empty landing. Calming down, he finished his tea and went into the kitchen. But after a couple of minutes, there was a quiet creaking in the bathroom. After a few more seconds, the lights went out and soft singing was heard. The heart, which had been beating a wild dance before, stopped. Without trying to wipe away the tears that flowed from fear, Sergei followed the sound. Pale, trembling like jelly, he opened the door and froze. The girl with the dark whites of her eyes was standing in the bathroom, swaying from side to side. When she noticed the young man, she stopped singing and tilted her head to one side. Hello, she drawled, and blood began to flow from her mouth. Sergei lost consciousness. When he woke up, the guy immediately looked ahead. She disappeared. Fear gave me an unpleasant chill in my chest again. Oh, to hell with it. We need to get out. It took the guy half an hour to collect things. The guy, pale as snow, slammed his suitcase shut, put on his jacket, and hurriedly left the apartment. He spent the night at a friend's house that night. The next day, he moved out of this apartment. And at night, the neighbors heard quiet, muffled singing on the third floor for a long time.